What happens when we lie? Sure, the immediate relief of deception may seem sweet, but what if I told you the person most harmed by the lie is the one telling it? Lying doesn't just break trust, it fractures the very essence of the liar's soul. Every lie creates an emotional wound, a psychological burden that only grows with time. But today, we're going to explore the dark truth behind this destructive habit. And who better to guide us through the consequences of dishonesty than Fyodor Dostoevsky, the man who understood the dangerous power of lies better than most. His characters are often trapped not just by their wrongdoings, but by the lies they tell themselves. Before we dive deeper, if you're new to the channel, make sure to hit that subscribe button. It's a small click for you, but it helps me bring more insights like this directly to you. 1. The psychology of lying. We all lie, don't we? At some point, we've all told a little white lie or stretched the truth, thinking it wouldn't hurt anyone. But here's the catch. Every time we lie, we're not just deceiving others, we're deceiving ourselves. Think about it. Why do we lie? Often it's to avoid discomfort, to dodge the truth, or to protect ourselves from some form of pain. The immediate relief from telling a lie can feel like a weight lifted off your shoulders, but beneath that temporary comfort, there's something deeper at play. Lying creates tension. Every word that doesn't match reality causes a little crack in our psyche. This internal conflict, the discord between what we say and what we know to be true, creates stress. It's a subtle but powerful psychological burden that eats away at us. And the more we lie, the heavier that burden becomes. Imagine a person telling a harmless lie to avoid confrontation. The first lie feels easy, maybe even justified. But over time, this small lie grows into a web, each new lie tangled with the last, until the liar is stuck in their own creation. The result? Anxiety, fear, and the overwhelming pressure to maintain the illusion. Now let's bring in Fyodor Dostoevsky, or as I like to call him, Dosto. In his works, Dosto explored this very theme. His characters, tormented by their lies, struggle not only with the deception they've created for others, but with the lies they tell themselves. For Dosto, lying wasn't just a moral failing, it was a psychological one. It trapped people in a cycle of self-deception, distorting their reality and undermining their peace of mind. Dosto's characters, like Raskolnikov in Crime and Punishment, wrestle with guilt and self-doubt, torn between their actions and their inner truth. These characters aren't just dealing with the consequences of their lies on others, they're fighting the battle within themselves. And that's the true psychological cost of lying, the toll it takes on our inner world. 2. Dostoevsky's view on lying and the liar. When we look at Dostoevsky's works, we see that lying isn't just a moral issue, it's a psychological one, often tied to deep inner conflict. For Dostoevsky, a lie wasn't just a falsehood, it was an escape from reality, a way to avoid facing the harsh truths of life. Take Raskolnikov from Crime and Punishment. He convinces himself that his crime, the murder he commits, is justified by some higher purpose, that the end justifies the means. But what happens? The lie he tells himself becomes his prison. He's not just guilty of the murder, he's guilty of the lie that allowed him to commit it. And this internal contradiction between the lie and the truth starts to destroy him from within. Dostoevsky understood something crucial about the psychology of lying. It doesn't just hurt others, it devours the liar. When we deceive ourselves, we distance ourselves from reality, and that distance creates a mental and emotional fracture. In the case of Raskolnikov, this fracture manifests as intense guilt, paranoia, and a crumbling sense of self. In The Brothers Karamazov, Dostoevsky explores the idea that lies often stem from fear. Fear of facing the truth about ourselves, or fear of confronting uncomfortable realities. His characters are trapped in their own lies, not because they want to harm others, but because they're too afraid to face the uncomfortable truths about their own lives. Dostoevsky shows us that when we lie, we're not just deceiving others, we're creating a rift within ourselves, a separation from the person we truly are. And the more we lie, the deeper that rift becomes. In the end, it's not just the lie that destroys us, it's the internal conflict we create by living in the lie. 3. How lying destroys the liar. Lying is often seen as a quick fix, a way to avoid facing uncomfortable truths or to escape consequences. But the real cost of lying doesn't come in the form of external punishment. It's the internal toll that truly destroys the liar. Imagine a person who lies about their success, presenting a life that's more glamorous than reality. At first, the lie boosts their ego, giving them a sense of power and control. But over time, they start to believe their own narrative. They've created a version of themselves that doesn't exist, and in doing so, they lose touch with the person they really are. The problem? They're no longer living authentically. They're living in a facade. This disconnect from reality is where the destruction begins. The liar's mind becomes fractured, and the anxiety of maintaining the lie builds up. Each time they're forced to keep up the charade, they feel a little more detached from their true self. Eventually, the mental strain becomes too much to bear. This internal battle between the truth and the lie eats away at their peace of mind, leading to stress, depression, and a deep sense of inner emptiness. Dostoevsky's characters are perfect examples of this kind of self-destruction. Take the character of the Underground Man from Notes from Underground. His lies are not just lies told to others, they are lies he tells himself to justify his own bitterness and isolation. And this self-deception poisons his mind, trapping him in a cycle of self-loathing and despair. The more he lies, the further he sinks into his own torment. The truth is, lying doesn't just harm relationships. It destroys the liar's relationship with themselves. And the longer they live in the lie, the harder it becomes to find their way back to the truth. Lying is a form of self-inflicted damage, one that may not be visible on the outside, but eats away at the soul nonetheless. 4. Why telling the truth is the only way out. The more we lie, the more we become trapped in our own web of deception. But what's the way out? It's simpler than you might think. Honesty. The truth is the key that can unlock the prison we've built for ourselves. When we tell the truth, we stop pretending. We stop hiding behind a false version of ourselves, and that's where the healing begins. Yes, telling the truth might feel uncomfortable at first. It might feel like exposing a part of us we'd rather keep hidden. But in that discomfort lies freedom. The moment we choose honesty, we stop running from who we really are. Think about a person who has lied for years about their happiness. They've pretended everything is fine, even when they're struggling inside. But when they finally speak the truth, when they admit their struggles to a friend or a loved one, that's when the burden begins to lift. It's as if the weight of all those lies falls off, and they can finally breathe. For the first time, they're not living in a facade. They're living in reality, and it feels like a relief. Dostoevsky understood the power of truth in healing. In Crime and Punishment, Raskolnikov spends most of the novel denying his guilt, trying to justify his crime with lies. But it's only when he admits the truth, when he confesses, does he begin his path to redemption. The truth doesn't just set him free, it brings him back to himself. Telling the truth doesn't just clear the air with others, it clears the air within us. It's only by facing the truth, no matter how difficult, that we can stop living in the shadows of our own lies and start living in the light of authenticity. So, what have we learned? Lies may offer a temporary escape, but they only trap us in a prison of our own making. The more we lie, the further we distance ourselves from who we truly are, causing emotional and psychological destruction along the way. But there's hope. By embracing the truth, we reclaim our power, our authenticity, and our peace of mind. The truth is the only way out of the darkness we create with our lies. Thank you for watching. If you found this video insightful, don't forget to hit that like button and make sure to subscribe for more deep dives into the human psyche. Until next time, stay true to yourself and remember, the truth will always set you free.